Good evening, good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you're from, and welcome to the Formula EuroLeague Tier 3 race for the Australian Grand Prix. This is round 1 of the newest season for the Formula EuroLeague's Tier 3 series. Sorry for the delayed broadcast, as unfortunately we have had some, well, technical difficulties is a bit of an understatement, but we're going to go with that for the time being. So, qualifying has already occurred. It's just going to be the race, so we're jumping straight into the racing action here at Australia around, Albert Park in Melbourne. So I'm still trying to get unfrazzled from the technical difficulties that has just occurred. Nonetheless, excited for a good race here. Not even sure who's on the pole at this time, but we will find out momentarily. Reading the Twitch chat. What's happening? Hopefully no more disasters. That's about all I can say. Currently waiting for the lobby to load up for the race to get going here in just a moment. And there's the beautiful paddock in Melbourne. And if Twitch chat is correct, apparently the lobby has crashed, so more problems. Not sure what's going on here today. We're just going to have to wait and see, so bear with us for just a second.
There are 46 gear changes per lap, totaling over 2,500 over the course of the Grand Prix. Welcome to the streets of Melbourne here in Albert Park. I'm sure we're in for a great day of Formula 1.
And maybe we're going to be okay. I'm getting conflicting reports, one that the lobby has crashed, and one that the lobby has not, so unknown. But we do have a custom grid here, so going down the line, we've got SVDL on pole, Jory in second, David in third, Dimitri in the Ferrari in fourth, Ashy Boy in fifth, Stain in sixth, Just Chris in seventh, Max P in eighth, Frosty Calvin in ninth, Sisa in 10th, Bram in 11th, Rugpack in 12th, YWR Marcus in 13th, Veteran in 14th, Jesse Gamer in 15th, it's your boy Alfie in 16th, Cody in 17th, it's Jake in 18th, Instinct Energy in 19th, and 20 is Harvkosh in the Red Bull rounding up the back of the grid. So a full field here at Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix, and that's going to put on an exciting show. 29 laps around this course. It's going to be very intense indeed. I'm going to double check to make sure that this is official and that we are all good to go. So just give me one brief moment. You might see a black screen for just a second, so bear with me. All right, as far as I can tell, we are good to go. Sorry for the delay there, but it should be the only time and last time for the day. And could not have happened at a more perfect time, as now the cars are entering the third sector on the formation lap. So here in just a moment, they will be lining up on the grid in their appropriate grid positions, and we will be ready to start this race. Now, with it being round 1, there's obviously not a points leader per se here yet, but at the end of the day, someone will walk away with that points lead. The question is, will they be able to hold it for the entire season, and will they walk away champion at the end of this 16-week season? So there you see SVDL finding his appropriate position on the grid. The pole position, that's where he definitely wants to be, but is it where he will stay? Because it's not where you start, it is where you finish. Harvkosh rounding out the final position on the grid, and now you hear those engines revving, you hear those itchy pedal feet, those drivers, those eyes fixated on the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Australian Grand Prix for the Formula Euro League Tier 3 Series. SVDL leading him down to turn 1, but is 3 wide going into turn 1 with David and Joe Reed there for just a minute. David going to back out and then hang on to the second position there, so that is good for David. He's going to maybe look on the outside of SVDL, but not going to happen. Behind him, though, someone else trying to make it 3 wide. The Williams of Joe Reed trying to do it, but not going to make it work. Ashy Boy just sitting there and watching, and there's some cars off track. It looks like it was Bram Plepper who is off track in the Racing Point machine, so he's dropping down to the 14th position, and the Merc of It's Jake has spun, so a yellow flag in sector 1 and 2, no safety car thus far, but It's Jake has spun in the Mercedes, and it is carnage ahead of him as a Haas car actually spins as well, and another Mercedes, so both Mercedes out as well as the Haas. This is just absolute carnage, and now there is officially a safety car. Go ahead and turn on the lap telemetry here so you can get an idea of what the drivers are doing, as well as the tire that they have all fitted. So everyone going for the soft tires, except for a few drivers going on the mediums of Bram and Veteran. Of course, now we have David, who is unfortunately suffering a DNF. It's Jake, who is probably not all that much better. In fact, he is not. There is definite wing damage on that Merc, or at least there was. I believe that he might be coming to the pits, though. Just ahead of him is the Haas of Just Chris F1, and there is no wing on that Haas car whatsoever, so he's one of 3 cars to get caught up in the lap 1 carnage. Very unfortunate indeed for these drivers, but sometimes when you got cars close like that, that's just how it works. Rugpack now with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that's the last thing that he wanted to see, so very unfortunate for Rugpack there. But there you see Joe Reed in first, SVDL in second, Ashy Boy in third, Stain in fourth, Frosty Calvin in fifth. That is your top 5 running order at the moment, and they're going to stay that way for a little bit while the safety car is out. No passing under the safety car. Definitely no passing there. That's the quickest way to get a penalty. Going to the Twitch chat, what a first lap indeed. I agree. Just a lot of carnage out of the gate, and sometimes that's just what you get. As far as pit strategy goes, there's really not a lot going on except for the drivers who were involved. So I'm looking down the board, and it looks like Just Chris has decided to fit the hard tires. So he now meets the 2-tire compound requirement for the race. So he will maybe be able to stretch those hard tires all the way to the end. We're going to see if he can make it work here. It's Jake, though, has now getting a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Cody, so not sure what happened there. Going to go take a look at It's Jake riding on board with him. It's Cody is all the way in front of him. So that was the Renault of It's Cody who had a little bit of issues with Jake there. So I'm sure that's the last thing that Jake wanted to happen. But, you know, a bad day has just gotten worse for him as he was one of the 2 Mercedes being involved in the lap 1 carnage. Going to take a look at Joe Reed again, or SVDL rather, who is still in second. Waiting for the safety car to come in. Obviously will not be coming in that time. Maybe this lap, who knows. It is lap 3, so if it was green, we would already have DRS active, but DRS isn't going to do much for drivers at this point. It does look like all the drivers have caught up to the pack, so that's a good sign. That might mean that the safety car is going to be in this lap. We will have to find out momentarily. So, to update you on the running order thus far, Joe Reed in first, SVDL in the Toro Rosso in second, the Racing Point of Ashy Boy in third, Stygian in fourth in the Williams, or Stain rather. Frosty Calvin in the Red Bull in 5th, the Renault of Max in 6th, the Ferrari of Dimitri in 7th, another Ferrari of Marcus in 8th, the Toro Rosso of Jesse Gamer in 9th, the second Racing Point of Bram in 10th, the Alfa Romeo of Instinct Energy in 11th, the Alfa Romeo of Veteran in 12th, The Renault of It's Your Boy Alfie in 13th. The Renault of Cody in 14th. And there has been contact between Frosty Calvin and Bram, apparently. There was some debris on the track. You saw it flying everywhere. Not going to go ahead and take a look at Frosty Calvin, as well as Bram, to see if I can see where the damage came from. Taking a look at Bram Pepper's car, and there you see he does not have a right side end plate on that front wing. So that's going to cause a lot of aero issues for Bram. So just still having a bad day here. Not sure what's going on with Frosty Calvin, but now Rugpack is getting a severe collision for It's Jake. A lot of drivers getting 5-second penalties for severe collisions. Frosty Calvin has also gotten a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with, I don't even know what driver at this point. Not sure what's going on or why this is occurring, but a lot of drivers having wing damage now. It looks like the safety car is in. Yes, the safety car is in, waiting to go back green. It says we're still under the safety car, but they're under racing speeds. Now it looks like we are officially back green, so Jory in the lead, followed very closely by SBDL in the Toro Rosso. Ashy Boy in third. That is your top three at the moment. The Williams of Stain is in fourth. Max P making a move on Frosty Calvin, so Frosty Calvin has moved down into fifth, but he might, or moved down into sixth rather, and there was some contact there between the Williams and the Racing Point of Ashy Boy. I just barely missed it, but caught it out of the corner of my eye there, so already Ashy Boy dropping down, and a yellow flag in Sector 1 as to be expected. That's going to move Stain up into the third position, so it is Jory, SBDL, and Stain your top three at the moment. Max P in the Renault in the Haas rather, in the fourth position at the moment. He's being followed closely by the Ferrari of Dimitri. Jesse Gamer now with a 5-second time penalty for severe collision with Harvkosh. Gonna go take a look at that if I can. There is Harvkosh though. He's just riding alone. So there's now riding on board with Cody. It's Jake and Ashy Boy. There's so much happening. I just cannot keep up with it at the time being. So it's Jake going by Cody there. So gonna go take a look for the battle for the lead yet again. First gonna take a look at Frosty Calvin, who is involved in part of that. It looks like he does have some wing damage. So that, that Red Bull has got to be handling just, well, not so great. We'll say that. There you see Stain going in the pits. Excuse me. So much happened in the first lap that I actually lost my voice there temporarily, so excuse me for that. I'm going to have to struggle through this now. Completely unprofessional, as now we are under a virtual safety car. I'm going to echo someone in the Twitch chat when I say, yeah, it's just doomsday at this point. So Jory is your leader with SVDL in the Toro Rosso in second. Max P is in third in the Haas. That is your top three at the moment after lap 5. Dimitri in the Ferrari is in fourth with another Ferrari of Marcus in the fifth position. Looks like the virtual safety car is now being lifted, so SVDL can go back to chasing Jory. He will be able to pass him, but only if he can get to him. Not sure if he's fast enough. Gonna ride on board with him while we watch him chase Jory. Gonna monitor some battles in the back of the pack, is actually now Dimitri's making a move on Max P, so that was a good move right there. Another Ferrari, though, is what he's gonna have to deal with, so it is Ferrari, Haas, Ferrari at the time being running third, fourth, and fifth. Riding on board with Marcus to get a look at this battle here. Max going a little bit wide through that corner, so that's going to allow Marcus to get underneath him and pass him. Not sure if there's wing damage on Max's car or not. I just simply can't tell. It doesn't look like there is. It looks like everything is good. There was a little bit of a lockup from someone ahead of the field. It looked like maybe it was Dimitri in the Ferrari there. And now Race Control has enabled DRS, so we're going to see a lot more passes for position now, as a lot of drivers are within DRS range. Frosty Calvin now with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so a bad day for him, getting a lot worse. And that really is just what we're seeing. That is the theme of today's race, a bad day getting worse. And I don't want to see it happen for anyone else. I'd rather everyone just be able to run their race, but I am not a steward. So there you see Dimitri in his Ferrari running very comfortably in third. Gonna go take a look, though, at the Alfa Romeo of Instinct Energy, as he is starting to close in on the Haas of Max for the 5th position, riding on board with him, getting a good look at what's going on from his perspective. The back of the field has more or less spaced themselves out to where there's not much of a gap between anybody, or rather there is a huge gap between a lot of drivers. And there you saw Max P actually going wide and getting into the dirt. So Max P struggling in that Haas. Looks like Instinct is a little bit quicker than him, and he might be making a move here soon. The front straightaway, it is a DRS zone. So if he can get a good exit out of this final corner here, then Instinct might be able to set up a pass going into turn 1, using that slipstream to the best that he possibly can. Dimitri, meanwhile, getting the fastest lap. Instinct not going to be able to make a move this time. Max was just too quick. So Max holding on to it, but having to watch his mirrors, as now Instinct is diving on the inside of Max, but we are under a virtual safety car, so it's all for naught at the time being. Not sure what happened. It looks like Ashy Boy actually has a DNF. So the racing point of Ashy Boy now out of this race, that's 3 DNFs, both Mercedes of It's Jake and David, as well as Ashy Boy now. Turning to the Twitch chat, as now we're actually going back green. It looks like someone is wondering how the Haas is able to overtake both Ferraris. I do believe that this is an equal performance. So, that being said, the Ferrari is not faster than the Haas isn't faster than Williams, and so on and so forth. As far as I'm aware, this is an equal performance tiered league. So, keeping with this battle between Max and Instinct Energy, Instinct was able to pass Max, but it was right about the time that the virtual safety car came out, so obviously he could not hold on to that position. So he's going to try to pass him once more, as both drivers may be going just a little bit wide, but using every bit of that curve that they are allowed to, trying to get the best racing line out of that corner. SPDL still leading almost a full second ahead of Jory, so not missing much up front at the time being. Also not missing much at the back, as there is just huge gaps, some even as much as 15 seconds separating drivers. With all this carnage in 2 virtual safety cars already, a lot of drivers have fitted the hard tires. Stain, Frosty Calvin, Bram, and Jesse Gamer, all of them have fitted the hard tires, so they're going to try to make it to the end of this race. You saw Instinct Energy going a little bit wide there, and now Jesse Gamer has retired from the session. Not sure what happened, maybe he hit a wall, but Jesse Gamer out of the race, so 4 DNFs already, and a virtual safety car yet again. At this point, it might just be the winner is whoever is able to survive, but SPDL, his soft tires, really the top 8 drivers' soft tires are probably loving all of these virtual safety cars, because it allows the cars to slow down. You know, they're not putting as much heat in the tires, they're not using up as much tires as they normally would. So, where the soft tires could last maybe around 10 laps, give or take, on a normal run, I could see them lasting 15, maybe even 20 laps at this rate if we have more safety cars. We've had 1 safety car and 2 virtual safety cars, and now we are back green from the last virtual safety car. Instinct Energy trying to chase down Max still, but the gap has increased, so Max getting a lot quicker. Going to ride on board with him to take a look and see how close he is to Marcus ahead of him. 0.8 of a second separating them, so he is within DRS range, but just not close enough to make a move this time. So your updated running order after lap 9 of 29 laps here in the Australian Grand Prix is SPDL in first, Jory in second, Dimitri in third, Marcus in fourth, Max in fifth, Instinct Energy in sixth, Cody in seventh, It's Your Boy Alfie in eighth, ninth is Stain, Frosty Calvin in 10th, Sesa in 11th, Bram in 12th, Just Chris F1 in 13th, Harvkosh 14th, Rugpack 15th, and Veteran in 16th position. A little bit of a lockup from what looked to be Marcus's car there going into that last corner, but he's holding on to it nonetheless, and maybe even gaining on Max P. In fact, yes, he is, because Max is no longer in DRS range. Meanwhile, Instinct Energy is getting closer to Max and is within DRS range, so we're going to ride on board with him to see if that gap is shrinking ever so much. 0.7 of a second now separating the Haas and Alfa Romeo cars. There will be a DRS zone on the front straightaway. Will it be enough for Instinct Energy to make a move on Max? It is now half a second separating these two drivers. 0.4 of a second now. Instinct Energy exiting that corner. Max got a little bit of a better exit, but Instinct Energy has DRS as well as the slipstream, but he will not be close enough to make a move this time. Going into turn 1, Max is having to defend as Instinct Energy is very close to that Haas machine. Instinct Energy trying to make a move on the outside. This is a DRS zone, so will he be able to clear him? They are side by side, wheel to wheel, but not able to clear him. Max P is going to hold on to the 5th position, at least for this time, but a little bit of contact now between the Alfa Romeo and Haas. Instinct trying very, very hard to get by that Haas of Max, just not able to do it, but clean racing nonetheless. Hard caution now with a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. So just add that to the long list, I'm sure, of the time penalties that drivers have accumulated here today. Instinct Energy trying to make a move on the inside of Max, but will he be able to do it? They are side by side, but now Max has actually got the momentum on the outside, and he was able to pass Instinct. So Instinct no longer side by side with Max and actually dropping back just a little bit, but just as I say that, Instinct starting to close the gap yet again. Riding on board with him as he has the best view of his own battle, and I sure would hope so. Max going through the grass there for just a little bit, but didn't look like it upset the car at all, so that is good for him at least. Looks like Dimitri is the first to blink, and the Ferrari has pitted. As you saw, Instinct Energy going very wide there, getting to the grass a little bit, so that's going to be a little bit of a time loss for him. So Dimitri has fitted the medium tires. Those will last him for the rest of the race. So the Ferrari of Dimitri being the first driver to pit under green flag conditions. I do believe we had a little bit of mic issues, and there's contact between Max P and Instinct. So that's going to allow Max P to get back by. I do believe we had a little bit of mic issues there for just a moment, but I think we're all good now, so my apologies for that. Riding on board with Instinct because he's got a good view of his own battle as always, and it's really the only battle going on track, as you can actually see the gap between each driver if you look to the left of your screen, and they are really big gaps with the exception of Instinct and Max. So we're going to stay with this battle locked tight right on it, not going to miss a single bit of it. And now it looks like Jory and the Williams has decided to pit, so two drivers now pitted, and Instinct and the Haas of Max pit at the same time. Instinct tried to pass the Haas of Max while going into the pit lane, not able to work, so there was some contact, but Instinct did not spin. So, with Max pitting, he will take the medium tires. I expect all the drivers really to take the medium tires when they make a pit stop. SVDL, he is still staying out. Maybe that's going to work for him. Maybe he'll be able to put some distance between him and Jory, and in fact, at the time it is 24 seconds between him and Jory. I do believe Instinct Energy is serving a time penalty there, so now he is going to pull away. Going to take a look at Jory, who is now back on track in that Williams. He's going to have to deal with the Ferrari of Dimitri before too long, who is just 1.2 seconds behind him unless Jory is quicker. But if SVDL pits this time, he will have a free pit stop, because it takes about 20 seconds, give or take, for a driver to enter pit road, pull into his box, and then get back out onto the track, assuming he does not have any time penalties that he has to serve. So, if SVDL maintains that gap and pits this time, he will have a free pit stop, and that will play perfectly into his hands if he's wanting to walk away with this. Watching SVDL now. Will he pit or will he stay? He will pit. So that free pit stop, he's going to take advantage of it and use it now. 11 laps on those soft tires. He said that is enough. So likely going to fit the medium tires, but I'm not going to put words into his mouth. We're going to wait and see what he does. That long, slow drive down the paddock to his pit box. But fitting the tires on now, they are in fact the medium compound tires. So SVDL is now away and out of his pit box. He will exit the pit lane, but where will he end up? Jory coming down the straightaway. There you see in front of him SVDL rejoining this race on slightly fresher mediums than what Jory has. So if SVDL is quicker, I expect him to pull away. He does have cold tires, but the temperatures will rise in them very quickly. He's just got to hang on to them and make sure that he does not spin the car while the tires are cold. Jory getting very close to him, though. 0.4 of a second separating these two drivers. 0.3 of a second now. So Jory is within DRS range. The question is he quick enough to make a move? Because SVDL was dominating before that pit stop. On board now with Jory. Both drivers using the curb as much as they possibly can. Jory getting a little bit loose out of that corner, having to hang on to it, really dance with that car, but he was able to hang on. But that's going to allow SVDL to get out to a little bit of a bigger lead. I would imagine by this time that SVDL's tires are starting to get some heat into them, but nonetheless, that's not stopping Jory from really closing that gap on entry of the corner there. Going through the grass just a little bit was the Williams. SVDL got a better exit out of that corner and that corner as well. So both corners in that little, I guess we can call it a chicane rather, SVDL got better exits out of. So Jory now 0.3 of a second separating those two drivers. Gonna go take a look at the battle between Stain and Max for just a moment to get a look at that. Stain getting a little bit loose out of that corner. Max pulling away. Gonna go take a look at the battle for the lead again. Still 0.3 of a second separating these drivers, and Jory gets very loose out of that corner. Good job hanging on to it by Jory. Didn't even lose a lot of time. This is really the only battle going on your screen at the time being, though it does look like Frosty Calvin and Just Chris back in the pack is starting to heat things up, but this is a much closer battle and battle for the lead as Jory has shrunk the gap down to just 0.2 of a second between him and SVDL. It's almost like they're working together. But even if they are, that will not last for long. Jory's just waiting. He is watching his opponent, trying to find his weak spot so he knows where he can make a move. And it does seem to me like Jory might be just a little bit quicker than SVDL. So we're going to see what happens here. Sesa now with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Sesa running in the 10th position right now. So unfortunate for him. Jory using that DRS and closing the gap just a little bit. Max P has now set the fastest lap with a 1:25.0 on the medium tires. Max P running in 5th. Currently with no driver near him, so that's a comfortable 5th position at the time being. Sesa now with another time penalty, a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Jory just doing everything he can to get close to SVDL. He just cannot seem to get close enough to actually make a move. Lap 15 of 29, though. He's got plenty of time, just as long as he can keep SVDL there. The way I see it, what Jory can do here is he can ride behind him, intimidate SVDL, try to make him use up his equipment. If Jory does have the luxury of being faster than the Toro Rosso, all he's got to do is try to maintain his tires while simultaneously intimidating SVDL into using up his tires. If he can get SVDL to drive a little bit harder into a corner or just really drive flat out and try to pull away from him, SVDL's tires will wear down quicker and Jory will have fresher tires come the end of the race and might be able to be enough to get by SVDL. But I think that Jory's running just as hard as that Toro Rosso. Both of these drivers want the win, but only one of them can have it. You cannot share a win. Jory thought about making a move there, but just not enough. It's a very short DRS zone going into that corner. So I'm not surprised that he was not able to make the move, but also not surprised that he tried. This is the only battle going on in the field at the time being. But to update you on the running order while this is going on, SVDL in first, Jory still in second, Dimitri in third, Marcus in fourth, Max in fifth, Stain in sixth, Instinct in seventh, Just Chris F1 in eighth, Frosty Calvin ninth, Bram in 10th is your top 10 for the time being. Jory starting to maybe drop back just ever so slightly from SVDL, but the gap really just hangs between a tenth and 3/10 of a second. Jory trying to make a move on the inside of SVDL, but SVDL does have momentum on that outside, and Jory also got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Cut that corner that time, so that's not what he wanted to see. So, assuming SVDL does not have any time penalties at the time being, if the race were to end at this very moment, SVDL would still walk away with the win, even if Jory were able to get by him. So, Jory not only has to get by SVDL now, he has to gain at least 3 seconds as well. So, to win this race, Jory has to pass SVDL, then get out to at least a 3-second gap. It's going to be a mammoth task. Not sure if it's going to be able to be done. Going to take a look now at Stain, who is having a really good battle with Marcus for the 5th position. They are imitating the leaders, and I don't even think that they were able to see the leaders. Stain making a move on the inside of Marcus. Marcus gives him room. There's a little bit of contact between the Williams and Ferrari, but Stain is able to move into the 5th position for the time being. And Stain, he does that on old, hard tires. I just want to point that out. 12 laps on those hard tires versus 5 laps on Marcus's car. So, Stain got a really fast Williams underneath him here today. Why is Marcus so slow? Gonna take a look and see if he does have damage. I cannot see any visible damage, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have any. So no visible damage on the front wing of Marcus's car. And you can see the telemetry there. He does not have a lot of ERS, but nonetheless trying to save it and conserve it. So maybe that's why he's slow. He's just trying to conserve there for a little bit. No other battles going on, but it does look like Instinct is starting to catch Marcus in the Ferrari, so going to ride on board with him for just a moment to see how he does. Going down the straightaway, he has the slipstream, but Marcus is very far away, so where he is within DRS range, he was not when they entered the DRS zone, so no DRS this time. If Instinct can stay within a second, which he will not, so no DRS this time either. And that has got to really hurt Instinct. He has got to be mad about that. Because if he can get the DRS, he can actually get up to Marcus and able to make the pass. Now 0.8 of a second separating Instinct and Marcus. So Instinct within DRS range now. Next DRS zone that they come up to, he might be able to close that gap even more. Taking a look now at the battle for the lead, though, as Jory has closed the gap. It was at one point almost a second. Now he's closed it back down to 0.3 of a second, riding on board with the Williams. He gets so very close to SVDL. But the Toro Rosso having just a slightly better line through those two corners. That's able to give him enough to get out to a 0.4 of a second lead now. Still not enough. Not enough for him. He definitely wants it to be a lot more because he has to deal with Jory, who SVDL might not even know has a time penalty. So SVDL, for all we know, he does not know that Jory has a time penalty and is fighting for position here. Jory is fighting for position, but he also has to get out 3 seconds ahead of that Toro Rosso. Don't forget that. So just because he passes him does not mean he can win the race unless he gets out to 3 seconds ahead. And that's still assuming that he does not pick up another time penalty, which I find very unlikely considering that, and speak of the devil, Frosty Calvin, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Today is just time penalty day. So every driver, I am sure, is eligible to pick up a time penalty at some point or another. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So Frosty Calvin running in 9th. Very unfortunate for him. Not sure how many penalties that is for him. I cannot check the race director at the moment. Jory, though, getting so very close to SVDL there. He's able to maintain that gap and keep it within about 0.2 of a second, give or take, but it just doesn't seem like he can get enough speed to pass SPDL. Here you see him using the slipstream and the DRS, but still not close enough. Yet again, he closes it to about 0.2 of a second, but that's all he's got. Another DRS zone here, but it's a very short one, so he really cannot do much with it. He was mainly just able to maintain that gap. But I'm going to take a look now at Marcus, who is actually trying to gain on Stain now. He's put some room between him and Instinct while also shrinking the gap between him and Stain. So it is 0.3 of a second separating these two drivers at the time being. Stain, who looked like he had a fast car just a few laps ago, maybe his tires are starting to wear. Remember, 15 laps on those hard tires, and he's got to make them last another 9. I do believe it's a feasible task, but how hard will that car be to drive at the end of this thing? That's the question. Looks like the battle has actually calmed down for the time being. Going back to the battle for the lead between SPDL and Jory. It is lap 20 of 29, about to be lap 21. So, only 9 laps remaining in this race at the time being. Veteran, a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. So, that's just more and more penalties that these drivers are racking up here today. Half a second separating these two drivers for the lead. Go and take a look now at Just Chris, who just made a move on Bram Plepper. Just Chris in the Haas, now pulling away from the Racing Point machine. Does Bram Plepper have damage? Yes, he does. He does not have a right side implant on the wing. So, on the front wing, you can see there, look on the right side, he does not have an implant. That's going to really hurt his car as far as aerodynamic performance. So that is why Bram Plepper is dropping back. Meanwhile, it looks like Marcus was able to make a move on Stain as well as Instinct Energy. So in one corner, Stain lost 2 positions. Those hard tires not doing well for him at all. Stain trying to fight back on Instinct. Will he be able to make the move? No, he will not. Not this time. And in fact, I think that Instinct is starting to pull away. So the medium tires are starting to come alive while the hard tires are starting to die. So Marcus being able to pull away just a little bit from Instinct in that Alfa Romeo. Frosty Calvin, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Frosty Calvin is running in 7 seconds behind Stain, who is on your screen right now. Instinct Energy going through the grass just a little bit. Looked like his car got a little bit loose out from under him. So that put a big distance between him and Marcus. So now Instinct is no longer within DRS range to Marcus. Stain is within DRS range of him, though, and he was able to close the gap just a little bit. It was to 0.3 of a second. Instinct Energy has now increased it to 0.6 of a second. Going back to the battle for the lead, though, because Jory has closed the gap significantly on SVDL. I'm still not sure if SVDL knows that Jory has that 3-second time penalty. So theoretically speaking, if he knows that Jory has the time penalty, and look at how close Jory is to SVDL through that corner, you could not fit a piece of paper between those two cars. But theoretically speaking, if SVDL knew that Jory has the time penalty, Jory passing him would not be a catastrophe for him, so long as he can still maintain the gap. Lap 23 of 29 here, so the lap's winding down. Does Jory have enough to not just get by SVDL, but then get a significant gap between the two? Or will SVDL be able to walk away with this win? These drivers have been battling it out like that since the pit stops 10 laps ago. So for 10 laps, Jory has stayed within a second of SVDL. For 10 laps, SVDL has had to hold off Jory in each and every corner. Take a look now at Stain, who is getting closer to Instinct. 0.4 of a second separating these two drivers here. So Stain is within DRS range. The question is he quick enough? Because Stain has 18 laps on those hard tires, where Instinct Energy has 11 laps on the medium tires. So the medium tires are probably starting to wear down now, which might be why Stain is able to catch him, but it doesn't change the fact of how old Stain's tires are. So it's a fine line that these drivers have to tread with tire wear, no pun intended. As you see Stain just trying to ride behind Instinct Energy and use the slipstream to his advantage. He will have the DRS. Maybe just a little bit of contact there. That's actually going to allow Instinct to get a little bit further ahead of Stain than maybe he would like to. But Stain will still maintain DRS range, using that slipstream and DRS to get as close to Instinct Energy as he possibly can. Will he make a move going into turn one? They are side by side. A little bit of contact, but no move from Stain. Stain going to have to hold on to that 7th position. Another DRS zone coming up. Will he be able to make a move on the outside of Instinct Energy? Now there is a yellow flag in Sector 1. Not sure what's going on. Stain making a move on the outside of Instinct Energy. Instinct Energy forces him wide and going through the grass. So Stain went through the grass. Now has dropped back over half a second behind Instinct Energy. So no DRS for Stain anymore. Instinct Energy holding on to the 6th position. Going back to look for the lead because Joe Ree has just now made a move on SVDL. They are side by side. There's a little bit of contact, but both drivers keeping it on course. SVDL on the inside, Joe Ree on the outside. Now Joe Ree going to be on the inside for this corner. But what will happen with SVDL? SVDL will let him go. So Joe Ree clears SVDL coming out of that last corner. Lap 24 of 29 here. SVDL has the DRS, and he's using the slipstream. Will he be able to make a pass on Joe Ree? They go into turn while they are side by side. Will SVDL clear him? Yes, he does, and he does it with relative ease. Joe Ree now back on the defensive, or offensive rather, while SVDL on the defensive. SVDL going through the grass there just a little bit. Looked like it upset the car just a little, but still holding on to it. 0.2 of a second separating these two drivers. Lap 29, 25 of 29. SVDL got a really good exit out of that last corner. That left Joe Ree in the dust. 0.4 of a second behind him. One thing I'm noticing is Joe Ree is able to close the gap. He's better on entry, but SVDL is better on exit, and that's where the difference is coming. That's why SVDL is so much quicker, it seems, than Joe Ree, because Joe Ree closes the gap on entry, but on exit, SVDL is able to get a better exit and just pull away. Joe Ree getting very loose out of that corner that time. That shows you just how much he is fighting that car and how desperately he's trying to make a move. On board with Joe Ree. Lap traffic of Rug Pack coming up. Not going to be a factor though. Lap 26 of 29. Just 5 laps to go here. Joe Ree still doing everything he can to catch SVDL. Meanwhile, Stain has caught Instinct Energy yet again. So the gap was over a second. Now it's back to just 1/10 of a second. Stain trying to make a move on the outside of Instinct Energy, but not able to make it work. There is some contact. So Stain using all of that curve as he had nowhere to go. Instinct Energy pulling away from him now. A yellow flag in Sector 3, so not sure what's going on there, but we're going to stay with this battle. Joe Ree now with another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so that basically puts Joe Ree out of contention for this win, assuming SVDL does not have any time penalties. Stain trying to get close to Instinct. He can get there, but he can't seem to get by him. Stain going through the grass there just a little bit. Tried to make a move on the outside, but was not able to make it work. trying to make another move on the outside, but cannot make it work. Just still some contact between the Alfa Romeo and Williams drivers, and this is allowing Frosty Calvin and the Red Bull to catch these drivers. So now it is a 3-car battle for the 7th position. Stain going on the inside of Instinct, but not able to do anything with it. Gonna stay locked on his bumper out of this corner. He's gonna have the slipstream and the DRS going into turn 1. And Stain has made the move on Instinct Energy. He has cleared Instinct Energy going into turn 1. So now Instinct has to deal with Frosty Calvin behind him while also trying to chase down Stain in front of him. Lap 27 of 29. SVDL still your leader. Looks like Frosty Calvin is faster than Instinct Energy. It's just a matter of will he be able to pass him? Does he have enough time? The next DRS zone that they reach, he will be within range. Riding on board with Frosty Calvin. He's using the slipstream, trying to get close to Instinct. Instinct going through the grass just a little bit, going too wide out of that corner. Frosty Calvin looking on the outside. Will he be able to make the move? Side by side, wheel to wheel, Frosty Calvin made the move on the outside. Instinct drops back to 8th position. So Frosty Calvin, something has come alive under the hood of that Red Bull as he is now ready to pounce on Stain, but he is 1 second back, no DRS, so he's going to have to deal with that. Meanwhile, he's also going to have to remember that Instinct is behind him and within DRS range. So if Frosty Calvin slips up, Instinct will be there to take advantage. Lap 28 of 29, just 2 laps remaining in this race. SVDL, your leader, half a second ahead of Jory, who has 6 seconds of time penalties. Looks now like Frosty Calvin is starting to pull away from Instinct Energy, but Frosty Calvin just does not seem like he's quick enough to catch Stain in the 6th position. He has the DRS, but he's not able to close that gap significant enough to where I think he's going to be able to make it within the next couple of laps. And Max P has now retired from the session, not sure where or why. Gonna ride on board with Stain to try to see if I can see his car off the track anywhere. There it is, you see it. So Max P has made a mistake, hit the wall, and dropping out of this race. There you see Dimitri in the Ferrari, but no battles going on there. Gonna go take a look now at the battle for the lead for this last lap. SVDL versus Jory, but Jory with 6 seconds of time penalties. Not gonna be able to do anything with it unless SVDL makes a catastrophic mistake. So blue flags waving so that the lap car will let these drivers by. Though I don't think that's going to be an issue. So SVDL and Jory entering the final sector now. Will Jory try to pass SVDL just for the bragging rights? He's going to go on the outside, going to try to make a move, but will he be able to do anything with it? They are side by side. Jory has made the move, but he has not cleared him, so SVDL back on the inside of Jory. Jory now going to have the inside on this next corner. That's the preferred line, but will he be able to do anything with it? Forcing SVDL just a little bit wide. So Jory has passed SVDL and will cross the line first, but will he be able to win? No, he will not, as the time penalties do come into effect. SVDL will officially win the Formula EuroLeague Tier 3 Australian Grand Prix. So congratulations to SVDL. Jory will finish in second. Dimitri now crossing the line in the 3rd position. 10 seconds behind him, it will be Marcus in the Ferrari to cross the line in the 4th position. Stain now going to round the final corner and cross the line. He will maintain 5th. Frosty Calvin crossing the line, but he has time penalties, so he may not run 6th. Instinct Energy will finish in 6th. Frosty Calvin looks like he will get 7th. I think he might have dropped down to 8th. Yes, Frosty Calvin did drop down to 8th, so going from 5th to 8th after the time penalties. Unfortunate for Frosty Calvin. Nice Ferrari, the boss is happy, says Felfreeze in the Twitch chat. Grazie ragazzi. I don't have the Italian accent. I'm not even going to try it. So congratulations to SVDL for walking away with this win in a race marred with carnage and time penalties. He was able to keep it clean all race and hang on to it. Jory, though, putting up a good fight there for the lead at the end, being able to cross the line in first, but with the 6 seconds of time penalties that he had to serve, was just not able to make it work. Here your official running order for the Australian Grand Prix. You got SBDL in first. Second is Jory. Third is Dimitri. Fourth is Marcus. Fifth is Stain. Sixth is Instinct. Just Chris F1 in seventh. Eighth is Frosty Calvin. Bram Plepper in ninth. Harv Kosh in 10th. It's your boy Alfie in 11th. And then the DNFs of Sesa, Max P, Veteran, Rugpack, Cody, Jesse Gamer, Ashy Boy, It's Jake, and David, rounding out the final positions for this race. So guys, thank you for watching. This will be it for the Australian Grand Prix. This is the first race in the Tier 3 series for the Formula Euro League. We will be back next week for the race. But thank you for watching. Have a good day.